Hello YouTube, welcome back. And up until recently I had no experiences with any of the Metal Gear games. And recently there was released the Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain game, and I decided why not go back in time and play the whole series. Yeah, why not? So I got this one. It's the Metal Gear Solid The Legacy Collection from 87 up until 2012. So I started with the first Metal Gear Solid game. It's also on this, well, it's not on the disc actually, I'll show you. It's what you get is pretty disappointing for a Legacy Collection. You get 2 Blu-ray discs as well as a download code for the first Metal Gear Solid game. But let's kick things off with a review of the first Metal Gear Solid game. Alright, now Metal Gear Solid was released in 1998 on PlayStation 1. Now, let's get one thing out of the way first. Now, I cannot really comment on the graphics of a 17-year-old game. It's old. I know it's old. I personally think the game still has a sort of an aesthetical charm and character to it. But that's my personal opinion. I know a lot of people out there just can't look past old graphics, and I really don't blame them. You know, I also have this thing. I have a problem with playing older games, but I stuck with playing Metal Gear Solid. So let's talk about that. Now, Metal Gear Solid tells the story of a bunch of terrorists that are threatening the world with nuclear missiles. Now, this sounds pretty simple. But it's actually quite a complex story. Now, you have Solid Snake, the main character, sent in to save the world. But there's also a secret government conspiracy going on. There's high-tech weaponry. There's genetic experiments. There's a ninja running amok. So there's a lot of strange things going on. And it's a really fun mixture of sort of serious storytelling and Japanese craziness, and it's really appealing. I really like it. There's these lavish, overlong cutscenes, amazing voice work with your backup team that sort of give you tips throughout the game. There's a brilliant score, and it's all in all, it's a very cinematic experience. And I like Solid Snake as a character. He's tough, he's tough as nails, but he's not a one-man army. He has his doubts about the mission, and he's kept mostly in the dark about the real purpose of it all. But the dude has doubts. The dude has feelings and regrets about the things that are happening around him, and the stuff he's involved in, and the choices that he makes as well.
Mei Ling.
Snake. Forget about Meryl. Stop Liquid. That's what Meryl would want too.
You're right. Meryl would say the same thing.
Snake.
What?
Meryl. She's pretty special to you, huh?
Yes, she's special. There aren't many women like her around.
So how does this whole storytelling sort of translate into the gameplay? Okay, well, you play Snake from the top down in a third-person view, right? It's a stealth action game. So you infiltrate and sneak around these military buildings, avoiding detection by patrolling guards and security cameras. You avoid tripwires, infrared alarms, and so forth. And it's very, very satisfying to sneak around. And it's just a lot of fun to do that, and you can pick up all kinds of items along the way that will come in really handy, like a mine detector, night vision goggles, and of course the famous cardboard box to hide in. Well, sometimes. Now, the problem with the items is also that it's very easy to miss one, and further on in the game it turns out that you actually need the item to, well, make your life a little easier, especially with certain bosses. I mean, there's a lot of bosses you have to fight. And for instance, I missed the thermal goggles, right? And at some point, you have to face this boss that uses a cloaking device. So using the thermal goggles will make it a lot easier to spot him and just to kill him. Now, what I really liked about the game is that it's sometimes very self-aware that it is a game, and it sort of reminds you repeatedly that there are, for instance, there are no continues after a certain points, or a boss who can read minds and tells you that you've saved a lot in the game. It often feels that the game sort of plays you instead of you playing the game. And also another boss, his weakness actually is exposed when you change the controller port. So that's really a fun thing to make fun with the player and to mess with the hardware as well. So the software sort of influences the hardware in this game. It's really a fun mechanic. And also, this game has one of the earliest QuickTime events in a time when these QuickTime events weren't really in fashion at all. You know, this is sort of, it's really amazing. So this game is really innovating. Now, most problems I had with the game came from the camera. It is fixed on Snake. So you can switch to first-person view, but you can't move or shoot from that view. Now the camera becomes a problem when you're facing enemies that you can't see because they're off camera. But they still can jump you or shoot you or throw things at you nevertheless. So that you get all kind of stuff thrown at your head, but you can't see the enemy. Now nowadays we're so used to the free cam view using the thumbstick, the right thumbstick on your controller. So Metal Gear Solid feels really old in that regard. Now another thing is that this game has some really irritating backtracking. At some point you need to go back all the way through a bunch of levels to find a sniper rifle. And then return, so you have to go back again. And all the enemies have respawned in the meantime, and that's just not fun. I hate backtracking. I want to progress. I don't want to go back, right? So that's what I think of Metal Gear Solid, the first Metal Gear game on PlayStation. And in my opinion, it is not the masterpiece that a lot of people think it is. It is a very solid, pun intended, game that is held back by some old gameplay conventions and mechanics like the backtracking and you know, the fixed camera view. But it's really an experience, and the big question is it worth going back to this game even for new players or people that are not familiar with the Metal Gear series? And I say yes, because even 17 years later, and that's saying a lot, it is a fun and tense and sometimes cruelly difficult game, but a really rewarding one. So thank you for watching, let me know what you think, and see you in the next video.